This is Earth. You live here on this planet somewhere, and all you've ever known is situated right here. But how little exactly is Earth when compared to the size of the whole universe? Let's start by zooming out to where we can see our closest celestial friend, the Moon. You might assume that the Moon is very similar to Earth because it occupies our night sky, but in fact, the Moon isn't so close to our world. It's still so far away. On average, 384,400 kilometers away from you right now. You could fit 30 whole Earths in between this size, and if you could somehow drive a car at a steady speed of 100 kilometers per hour, it would take you about 160 days to drive the whole distance. Given this immense distance though, 12 people have already set foot here, marking the farthest distance that any person has ever been from Earth, and one of the greatest accomplishments of mankind. This is what the world would be like if you were out there with them. And if you were to connect with someone back home, it would take only 2.5 seconds to fly between you and them. That's how quickly the speed of light will travel. This is a picture taken of Mars, and the tiny dot you see there is the Earth as viewed from the top of Mars. On average, Mars is an astounding 225 million kilometers away from Earth. But the distance may be as high as 401 million kilometers away. That means that at any time mankind actually moves to land a human on a planet, that individual will be 986 times farther away from Earth than the astronauts who landed on the Moon were. In comparison, the delay in sending a message back to Earth from Mars is not just 2.5 seconds, but more than 20 minutes in either direction. This would make instant contact difficult in the case of an emergency. If we zoom out much further, we will see the Voyager 1 space probe, the most distant man-made entity from Earth. It actually is located 138 AUs from Earth. AU means astronomical unit, which is the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which means that the Voyager 1 is 138 times further away from us than the Sun. At some point on his long trip, Voyager 1 turned his camera around and took this photograph. It might not look like much at first, but in my opinion, this is the biggest single photograph ever taken in human history. This small pale blue dot is planet Earth, and I don't believe anybody has ever said something as incredible about it as Carl Sagan. If you look at it, you see a dot. It's here. It's home. It's us. On it, anyone you've ever heard about, every human being who's ever existed, lived their lives. The sum of all our joys and sufferings, thousands of confident religions, philosophies, and ecstasies. Voyager 1 is now flying at 17 kilometers per second. But even at that speed, it's not going to break out of the grasp of our solar system for another 30,000 years. When we get past the solar system, we get to our interstellar neighborhood. Here, we switch to the light year measuring unit, which is the distance that light travels in a full Earth year, or around 9.461 trillion kilometers. The Proxima Centauri star here is the nearest other star to us other than our own, but it's also 4.24 light years away from us. To put that in context, if it were going in the right direction, it would take more than 70,000 years for Voyager 1 to reach it. In other words, if you were to drive your car 100 kilometers per hour, as in our previous example of the Moon, it would take more than 6 times longer than the entire universe's ages to actually get there. And it wouldn't even exist until you arrived. When we zoom out, we can see the whole Milky Way galaxy. Within it, our planet is situated right here. This yellow dot is the farthest component of human radio transmissions of history. That ensures that any potential aliens existing beyond this range are absolutely unaware of the existence of mankind. It's utter quiet beyond this yellow dot as far as we're aware at the moment, but the whole galaxy stretches more than 100,000 light years from end to end. There are over 100 billion stars and over 100 billion planets in our system, but you've never seen the full glory of the galaxy at night, since 99% of the stars you can see from the naked eye are restricted to this tiny little place right here. Yet still, this huge galaxy is nothing compared to the rest of what's out there. zooming out much more and landing at the local party of galaxies, a series of 54 separate galaxies covering about 10 million light-years. Zooming out more, we can see the Virgo supercluster, in which there is just a small segment of the local community. There are at least 100 other classes of galaxies, much like our own collective group within, and the distance from one side to the other is 110 million light-years. But even the huge Virgo supercluster is nothing but a quiet, tiny lobe of the great Laniakea supercluster, an immense structure home to our galaxies as well as 100,000 other galaxies. The size from one side to the other is 520 million light-years. But even then, we will zoom out all the way to the whole visible universe and see that even the titanic Laniakea supercluster is only a small and negligible portion of it. It is the observable world and includes everything we know about. It's home to at least 2 trillion separate galaxies that together contain more stars than grains of sand on the entire planet. The distance from Earth on either side of the visible universe is 46.5 billion light-years. That means that the overall range is 93 billion light-years. What is maybe even more important, though, is what lies within the visible world. Bear in mind that the visible world is all we can see at the moment, and it's entirely possible that the rest of the world beyond is vastly bigger and more amazing than we could even imagine. We really don't know what's out there. That the light from these incredibly remote places has not yet had enough time in the history of the world to reach us here on Earth, and the light from certain places may never reach us at all. And certain areas of space, far from Earth, are expanding further from us faster than the speed of light. This means that the light from these locations will never hit Earth after an endless period of time. Assuming that even though humanity is immortal and infinite, there will always be an unknown number of places in the world that we will never know or see. So it's very possible that it's extremely huge, as it seems the visible world is only a tiny slice of what we can see from the entire universe right now, according to the principle of interstellar inflation suggested by Dr. Alan Guth. If it is believed that the galactic inflation originated at 10 to the 37th of a second after the Big Bang, and assumed that the size of the universe before inflation began was equal to the age times the speed of light, this would appear to suggest that at present, the whole universe is 150 times more than the visible universe. It looks like this number for comparison. For so many zeros, let that number soak in for a second. This will be close to what you believe the whole physical world is. All you could see was the size of a light bulb, but then you know that in fact, the whole universe is larger than Pluto's former world. Imagine a light bulb in the middle of Pluto, but we're completely ignorant of Pluto's presence beyond the light bulb. And there's a close case like that. We're all too incredibly little, but you shouldn't worry, because all that means is that there's too much left for us to learn together. If you made it this far in the video, thank you, and welcome to the End of the Video Club. What's your take on this? Comment below, I watched to the end. Check out one of these other videos, and I'll see you on the next one.